Hey everyone, it's Tara Van Cleve reporting in from New York, where the weather is. Honestly, I can't tell if it's summer or winter anymore, but whatever it is, it's the perfect climate for new tech.
Hey, ciao, hello everyone. I'm Ettore Volpicelli here in sunny Naples, where the only things hotter than pizza oven in this month's batch of Oracle products updates.
You're watching Oracle Developer Coaching News Edition, and we're here with your monthly dose of everything new and shiny in OCI, AI, and the mighty Oracle database.
So, helmet well fastened because, like my Vespa, these updates come in fast.
And before we introduce today's reporters, if you have any burning questions about anything we shared today, or maybe you want to challenge us with a true stump the expert, head over to the Q&A section and we'll add your submissions to a poll so you can vote on which three questions we should answer live at the end.
Yeah, so guys, honestly, we are hoping that for at least one question will be about the weather. Okay, but anything heck goes. Thank you.
All right. Joining us are three superstars, Chris Rice, Jeff Smith, and Elena Sunshine. First on the docket, Chris and Jeff will break down what's hot in Oracle database.
I was not told we could bring props. Um, I feel ill prepared, but we are ready for your questions. Chris and I are here to do the database update, all things Oracle database.
But not
Tw-
limited to database this time.
Correct. Things in and around the database land. I'm going to start with the database. So 23 AI has been out for a while now. We are doing pretty frequent updates on the 23 AI code line. So you're seeing something like every 2 months, a new major update. So we had 23.6 a few months ago, 23.7, and now 23.8 was released, I think, in the last 2 weeks. In the follow-up email you're going to get on this meeting, which will include links to the recording and slides and all of that stuff. There will also be resource links that take you directly to the what's new in the Oracle database docs. There's a master document that shows all of the original, initial features in 23 AI, and then there's subsection bullets at the end of that that'll show you by update, by .5, .6, .7, and .8. So Chris and I don't have time to go over all of those. We picked a few highlights. I think Chris's favorite amongst all of these was sessionless transactions, and I'll let him talk about that. But just quickly, so the interface for exercising this feature, that's what some of the code you're seeing on the right. And also, I have a blog post that shows how to take advantage of this from your REST APIs. And I'll hand it over to Chris to tell you more about that feature.
So for database for sessionless transactions, it's actually a pretty neat feature. So you can kind of see there on the side, we actually have two different connections to the database. I can begin a transaction in one session and suspend it, and then connect to the database again with a complete different session. Obviously, same boundaries you would expect with users. It has to be the same user. I can't start as, Scott and end as HR, but I can suspend a transaction and I can come again later and resume it. So, so what that means, like Jeff hinted at, doing it in ORDS, Oracle REST Data Services, or in REST in general. What that means is I can actually begin, in a web app, I can start a transaction, insert some rows, do some updates, and then I can offer, some screens for validations, for verifications, and then in a second request, which REST is stateless, so there is no state, I can go into that second REST request and actually commit the transaction or roll it back if it doesn't look quite right. So it really opens a door on what's possible and what the boundaries of stateless means now. Because with the ability to start and resume, I can build REST APIs or web sessions, web apps in a way that's never been possible before. The only way to do it before was to do some sort of either, the mid-tier would keep something in memory and then flush it to the database only on commit, or you'd have to put it into some sort of staging table where you juggle a status of, work in progress and then commit later. Um, so it really opens the door on what's possible. And then we'll have much more content and whatnot on how to exploit this, specifically through REST and Oracle Apex and kind of some of our wheelhouse products that we deal with.
You can, of course, read the PL SQL docs on DBMS transaction, but the key things you want to look at is to start the transaction, you're going to give it basically a tag that allows you to identify later what session you want to reattach back to, or the transaction you want to reattach back to. Um, and then when you're done in the first bit of your code, you call the suspend, and then you just pick it back up later with the resume. And then be careful where you commit, because that will end your transaction. But you can carry this across as many sessions or as many different requests as you want. It's quite cool.
But it's not infinite. So just because you start a transaction doesn't mean I can come back tomorrow and pick it up. So there are timeouts and stuff because we don't want, the entire database to effectively end up getting row locks and things like that. So I think
This
that 20 on that thing.
Yes, that third parameter, I believe that's in seconds.
Yeah. So you don't want to leave these guys lingering around too long because our old friend of row lock contention type stuff will come back to life. So there are limits. So you have to use it wisely.
20 seconds is probably too long, but that's what I gave myself to Alt Tab, start recording for my GIF animator to do my demo. All
Are
right,
we
so
are we doing the Q&A live on some of these? I can't remember what we decided.
Yeah, we can take something if you want, but
Okay,
the request was actually to have questions submitted, and then we will rise
perfect. So
top
I'm just
three
going to
with a
short
code.
circuit one then real quick that's been asked like 4 times already. We are not going to comment on database 23 for on-prem. That's not here. Stay tuned on the normal places, and I guarantee when it's out there, everyone will know.
yeah. If you have an Exadata or an Oracle Data Appliance, or you're running Cloud at Customer, 23.23 AI is available, and of course the free edition you can run local. And if you want to do more, you can join our beta program. All right, let's talk 23.7 DBMS Developer. It's a new package. I believe Chris gets all the blame for this. Lots of helper packages in the database for DBAs, but there's a lot of interesting things of use for people building applications. This particular function is useful for our team. We build the tools like SQL Developer. I think there's a question in the queue about VS Code, for example. We're frequently trying to get you information about your object so we can display that on the screen or in some report in a nice way. And traditionally have used packages like DBMS metadata, which is very, very utilitarian. I mean, it's got lots and cool stuff in there, but it has a pretty severe, not severe, it has a pretty strict security model, and it's not really optimized for the use case. But DBMS Developer handles both of these things. If you have select or execute privileges on an object, you can get tons of information back out of that out of the dictionary in a very, very small amount of time. So in this case, 9 thousandths of a second, just making a call to the get metadata function. So this is going to be the first of many utilities that go into the DBMS developer package. And there's a couple of different levels you can call on this for a database object. So like the typical will kind of give you a JSON payload of a lot of different properties, including like on the columns and the statistics and the grants. And if you ask for an all model, you get a much higher level of metadata on the column definitions, for example. So look for in the upcoming 23 updates for more and more functions and procedures to be added to DBMS Developer. Now, I don't have a specific slide on 23.8, but when 23C was rebranded to 23 AI, that was also the introduction of our vector database support and our AI vector search feature. So each and every update since 23.3 or 4 has had significant improvements on the AI vector search feature, the vector type, the types of vector indexes. So you want to, if you're using the vector search feature, which I know a lot of you are, keep up to date on the release notes so you can take advantage of those new features as they pop. I was going to turn over, Chris, but I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about DBMS Developer.
Oh, on DBMS Developer, yeah. So it's a great example of one of the things we've dealt with and probably customers forever is DBMS metadata get metadata is kind of slow. So anyone that's done an export by exercising metadata has probably learned that. So one of the things we did to make our own customers, you guys, happier is in SQL CL, in SQL Dev, we added a command called info. That info command effectively turned into this. So what this lets you do is it gets you that metadata instantly compared to DBMS metadata. So the whole goal here is to make everything easier for a developer, easier, faster. And like Jeff said, there's more plans coming. And since the focus here is kind of what you can get your hands on in this news, we'll be back with some of those newer things that will be coming too.
And before I lose my mic, Chris and I are going to have a really, really awesome update on database stuff next month. We do have one more section left. And this is what Chris meant by not all of our updates were about specifically the Oracle database itself. So this is Live SQL. Live SQL is a portal that we started, what, about 10 years ago? Was it
Yeah,
10?
about that.
About 10 years ago?
It started 10 years ago. It was a brainchild of anybody that knows Mike Hichwa, Sharon Kennedy, and then we helped a little bit way back. Um, and then, fast forward, it was time for a facelift, time to look at how it was built.
It's a fiddle or a scratch pad for anyone that wants to get a SQL prompt, teach yourself the language, even PL SQL, mess around with the database. So some significant things we've done in this facelift. It's much more than a facelift, actually. So we have the ability now, you can come to the site, just go to livesql.oracle.com and click on where it says start coding, and it'll dump you immediately into a SQL worksheet. You do not need to sign in. In fact, I am not signed in on this screenshot. So as an anonymous guest, I can immediately start playing with my database. We've preloaded the database with some of the more common and popular sample schemas. We have human resources, sale history, I think order entry, a few more. And if you know SQL, you can start, typing it just to see what it does, or maybe you get a code sample out of the docs. By the way, we're going to have integration with this platform into our docs. So as you're reading the docs and you see code in there, there'll literally be a button right in the docs that says, hey, just run this right now to see what the output looks like. So that'll be coming online shortly. But if you don't know SQL and you aren't using the docs, we have built-in tutorials on this site. So you can click on there where it says library and search. Maybe you want to learn more about analytic functions, and you can literally just click the insert button and it dumps the code over to the worksheet. This is based on our very popular SQL Developer product and SQL Developer Web, which is basically SQL Developer in your browser. So you've got the ability to interact with your schema. You can drag objects to the worksheet, generate the code. There's SQL history built in. So I can pick this up today, come back a week from now, and it's going to remember all the SQL that I had ran previously. If I do sign in, so if I have an Oracle single sign-on, so that would be the account that you use to register for this webinar, if you went to our forums and posted a question, or maybe you did a download on a product that requires sign-in, you can use that same account here, or if you have an Oracle Cloud account, you can sign in. And this will give you read-write access and your own actual schema that no one else can play with. So I can interact free, no login required, and write queries on HR. Or I can log in with my account, and now I've got a schema that's just for me, and I can create my own tables, insert my own rows, write my own queries. And that's going to be there, for at least several months, as long as I keep using it. An update that we dropped, I think last week, maybe 10 days ago.
So
Yeah.
this is the part that refreshed us to remind you guys, because this new version's been out, I think, since November or so. But
Ish.
just last week, we released the option of the drop down you see up there in the toolbar for switching. So not only in the past, the new version V2, whatever you want to call it, was 23. Now you can simply switch that selector and you get to base 19. So you can easily switch between the two. We do not synchronize the two schemas. So if you have a set of tables in 23 and you switch to 19, shockingly, you're not going to see them over there. But you can obviously recreate them. So you can very easily play with the new 23 features, maybe test and compare how it worked in 19, and bounce back and forth very simply now.
Yeah, if you're interested in how vector search works, run your vector search queries. ask for the explain plan. We'll do the diagram and show you how to optimize or what the new plan steps look like. So it's much more than just a dumb editor. You get code completion, syntax highlighting, all the good stuff you'd expect in SQL Dev. But here we
And,
give you the database.
and a little bit more, like in the screenshot there where Jeff has, it says SQL Worksheet. If you hit that drop down, you can do SQL, you can do quick SQL, MLEs coming, right? So you can test, you can play with all the toys here. And I'm going to probably be right, but this is probably the single fastest way to get to a SQL prompt, right? If you think about all the ways to get to Oracle, you've got autonomous, you've got containers, you've got on-prem, short of things already existing. In, I'm going to say 2 seconds, you land on the homepage, you can do those read-only queries. Assuming you have an account with Oracle already, which I think everyone has to by signing up here, you sign in. So I'll say another 5 seconds, and in 10 seconds end to end, you can start creating tables and trying out fit features.
I believe that's the end of
So
our stuff. We'll hang on for Q&A. Are we okay to transition over?
yeah, thank you guys. So exactly, see you later for the Q&A. For our audience, please continue to submit your question for our poll. So next up, let's talk AI. Elena will share new, let's say, updates on new models, new region, and new guardrails. So, Elena, over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be invited to beam in to give you some news from the OCI AI land. So I'm Director of Product Management for Oracle's Cloud AI group, and I'm here to give you some latest news as of early June from the OCI Generative AI and Agent Services. Starting with the Generative AI service, I will take you through some of the new latest models that we have made generally available in the service as a managed service. So you can access these models in an on-demand mode to get access to them as a hosted API, or you can also deploy managed but private dedicated model instances through the service. Okay, so when it comes to our partner Cohere, we've launched three major releases recently. First is Command A. This is their latest chat model. It's their most performant chat model to date, and it's really tuned for use with agents with a longer context length of 256K tokens. Next up is Re-rank 3.5. Re-rank models are absolutely critical for enterprise search and RAG systems. So this model allows you to get a re-ranking according to the relevance of a particular document in a search query and how well it matches the text of the original query. And finally, a major update to Cohere's embed models, supporting embedding both images and text, and with a longer context length up to 128K token embedding. So those are both critical updates requested by tons of our customers. Next up, with our partner from Meta, Meta has recently introduced the Llama 4 series of their models. These leverage a mixture of experts architecture, and they come in two sizes, the Scout and the Maverick size. Where Scout is the relatively smaller one with a more limited context window size, and Maverick is the larger model with a relatively longer context length. Overall, Llama 4 delivers multimodal capabilities to customers, which is obviously a super critical feature for agents to be able to understand and process both images and text. And then it also supports a lot of different languages, up to 200 languages, with really strong support for the 12 languages that are listed here. All right, moving right along, we're going to have a few other model provider announcements coming out very soon. So stay tuned to the news as it evolves over the month of June, and we'll have more to tell you about the next time that we come into this news briefing. Up next, new regions for us. We have Dubai is our latest region to launch. So this is our first GA region in the Middle East. And so our customers in the UAE are really excited to be able to host dedicated deployments of models for chat and embeddings purposes in Dubai. Next up, we have guardrails. So guardrails is always an area where we're continuing to provide more and more functionality for AI safety from a like content moderation and security and privacy standpoint. Our guardrail service is a standalone API, so that can be used on its own, and it can be used in conjunction with your agents or with your large language models to provide functionality like content moderation filters, prompt injection and jailbreak prevention, and privacy and PII protection so that you're able to filter out that information and protect users' privacy. And next up, I want to highlight some things from our agent service. Last time, I'm aware that there was some news that you folks heard about our latest platform launch. So at the end of March, we made a major update to the service that adds on the ability to create custom agents with custom tools and orchestrate across those tools. So that platform release is a major leap forward for us in terms of functionality. And I know you heard about that last time, so I won't belabor the point, but the new news is that we have recently released our agent development kit. This is a client-side library that complements the OCI agent service. Basically gives you the best of both worlds. You get this library that's very easy to use in a development environment, gives you that kind of local development flow that you may be used to with working with another framework like, say, LangGraph or AutoGen. But the APIs directly integrate and are deployed on the managed agent service. So the underlying infrastructure, all the session management and caching and the underlying scaling of the agent and of course the LLMs as well are all managed for you on OCI through the agents service. So we've in late May, we released the Python SDK, and the Java SDK is forthcoming extremely soon, will be released publicly. And just this is a few links to some resources where you can dive into more details, and I'll leave it there.
Great, thank you. And I have added all of those links as well to the chat, so feel free to grab those, and we'll be sending this out in a post-event email as well. But just like a New York Minute, we're already at the end. But before you go and bolt off for your next coffee or gelato, it is time for some live Q&A. So let's run the poll and see what you guys want to hear from us. So I've compiled all the questions so far that we've gotten, and you guys can vote on what you want us to answer live now. So let me go ahead and launch that poll. Here we go.
I'm going to vote for gelato.
Yeah, in the meantime, we got that in Sweden it's a raining day, unfortunately. I'm sorry. And in Brazil, it will be lovely, I believe. So we have people connected from all around the world. Very happy to host you.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Let's see what our results were. Looks like up first, our number one question. Someone was wondering if there's a demo for novices to get started with Agentic AI Workbench or any recommendations for resources on how to get started.
I can take a stab at this. So in the resources link that Tara will share out after this, we have a new live lab that is being developed for the agents platform. And so I've provided a link to the lab, a development link basically to the lab in progress. So you could go use it right now. And then that's going to be published in a few weeks. Officially, you'll see it as part of the catalog, but you can use that live lab as it exists right now.
And let me say, don't forget, this is Developer Coaching News Edition, where we are sharing with you the latest. But then there is the regular Developer Coaching Program. That is a series of webinar duration about 1 hour, where our engineers are going deep dive into the solution. For example, tomorrow morning for European time zone, we have something on agentic AI. So just to let you know, we will share the link at the end. Okay.
Yep. All right. Next up, our second question is, can you elaborate on how the client-side library integrates with OCI agents and what specific development tooling it provides to agent developers?
I can also take this one. So, may I briefly share my screen?
Sure, you can take over. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. So this is from again one of the links of the resources that I shared. This is our ADK library documentation, where you can learn a lot more about how ADK works, and it provides. There's a bunch of examples here, like how to use functions, our RAG tools, calling multiple tools, having multi-turn conversations, even multi-agent orchestration, even deterministic workflows. There's a lot here. So, dive into this documentation to get a lot more detail. But I thought that this image just gives a little bit more clarity on exactly how the ADK works and integrates with the agent service. So basically, the ADK library, it runs inside your application. So it's part of your app's code, and the functions that it calls, which could be managed again on the client side, those are also part of your code. Now, the underlying agent service provides the core functionality. So basically, the ADK will call to these agent endpoints that are deployed, and then under the hood, there's these kind of like core boxes. So there's the core of the agent, which is like all the agent reasoning, the memory management, like exactly integrating into the kind of agent core brain, which is powered by large language models. There's the guardrails portion of it, and the human in the loop tooling that we provide, as well as core developer services like tracing that you need for agent debugging, and then evaluation tooling as well. And then there's the underlying execution of the what the agent has access to. So the underlying function calling tool, if you want that executed on the server side, we have the API endpoint calling tool, which actually will manage the execution of those tools on your behalf. And then the other pre-built tools that we have, like the RAG tool, we have a SQL tool, and we have more tools that are in development right now that will be surfaced as pre-built tools that you can use out of the box that are, again, managed by the agent service. You won't have to write these yourself. And then, of course, all the scaling and security and operations of that agent, which is also managed as part of the underlying service. So I hope that gives a bit more color into how the ADK integrates with the agent service. And then if you're developing an agent and you're looking for this type of development framework with this underlying managed service, I would definitely recommend taking a look at that documentation link and seeing some of these examples. We have a quick start guide as well that gives you, kind of an easy to follow introduction to how to use this.
Thank you.
Okay, and then last one. Any plans to bring in backup and recovery options in SQL Developer for VS Code, and then any new updates to Quick SQL?
I'll do them both. So on backup recovery, we're actively talking with that team to see what they want to do. Everyone probably is aware the kind of de facto screens today is still over in Enterprise Manager. So we're working on a plan to get to a plan. So that's as squishy of an answer as I can get, but it is on the list. And the other was Quick SQL. So anyone doesn't know what Quick SQL is, Quick SQL is another Mike invention. Again, probably equally back with Live SQL 10 plus years ago. It was kind of a shorthand notation for creating schemas for the database. So you could just do YAML ISK, with indentations, and it would create your schema with foreign keys and do all the stuff and generate you the DDL. So in a matter of typing, I don't know, say 10 lines, you could generate, probably 50 lines of DDL, if not more. So on Quick SQL, what we did is it used to be a set of hard-coded PL SQL code doing all that walking of that structure to generate the stuff. It was transitioned into a full grammar. And when we made it into a full grammar, we did it in JavaScript. So there's actually a Quick SQL library out on GitHub. It's just github.com/oracle/quick SQL. If anyone has PRs they want to do, log issues, log requests, log enhancements, anything, more than welcome to go do them out there. We honestly haven't had a lot of activity on it just because we haven't had a lot to do. But some of the 23 things like Jeff was talking about domains and annotations and that kind of stuff, that will be showing up out there. And then also in Live SQL, if you go to that main toolbar, you can say create a quick SQL file. So there is work
Perfect.
going on there, but not a ton in the structure of the language, but more about where we use it.
We've done work around the tooling too, right? Like some of our interfaces offer tab complete and syntax checking and formatting. And it's definitely not abandoned. We're doing lots of stuff with it.
Cool. I would say that we take another one, guys, even if we are going
Sure.
over some minutes, but then the recording, people that will get on demand will get benefit of this. So Tara, go ahead with another one.
Yeah, so there are a couple actually about just, vector search at a high level. So maybe just elaborating.
Vector search in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I saw some of the questions.
Go.
So vector is a proper type now in the database, just like we've had for XML and JSON and geometries and varchar2s and integers, whatever. So the primary benefit is one, you can treat the Oracle database as a vector database. And the nice thing is your Oracle database already has all of your business and application data in it. So you can load an LLM into the Oracle database and use that to compute vectors describing your existing data, any data you have in the database. It could be a picture that's stored as a blob. It could be your sales information. It could be
Or it could be a
JSON
concatenation of
attributes.
multiple columns, right? You can
Yeah.
vectorize any piece of whatever to create that embedding.
Or you can vectorize the stuff yourself in your client app and simply upload the vector data to the database. Then once it's in there, we give you the functions you need to compute the distance between these things, like how closely related are they? We also allow you to create the indexes because these vectors can be quite huge. Like imagine a vector to describe a 30-second high-def movie versus a vector to describe someone's address. They're quite huge. So the optimizer, we always look to cheat and make things less work. So we allow you to create indexes of different vector types to optimize those search queries. That's it kind of in a really not a great nutshell. But we have a dedicated vector team. They have lots of content out there. They have live labs. They have blog posts. I've done a couple silly examples on my blog. The nice thing is you can pull down the 23 AI free on your laptop, run it as a native container. By the way, there was a question about the autonomous container. The autonomous team puts out an autonomous container that allows developers to have the autonomous database experience on your laptop. When's that going to be available for ARM? The PM told me they are working on it. He doesn't have a timeline, but it is coming. But for the vector stuff, you can also spin up an always free or a commercial paid instance of Oracle Database 23 AI in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure using the base service or the autonomous services, and you can start using this stuff right away.
Cool.
And then
So
I'll
thank
just say,
yeah.
as always, right? All of us that are on here, you can find us all on LinkedIn or socials or whatever if you ever have questions outside of here as well.
Yeah, indeed. So that's all for today's developer coaching news edition. We'll be back before you know it.
This month is going to be fun. I know all the topics already. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, July 8th, save the
No
date.
spoiler.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, don't forget to check out our deep dive webinars that we mentioned. That'll just be at oracle.com/developer/events.
Perfect. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Chris. And thank you all for watching this. Thank you. Ciao. Bye-bye.